What's up, everyone? Welcome to the second section of the buying and selling websites via Flippa's Marketplace. And this is going to be a section on Due Diligence 101, using seller notes and all the information you have available. First and foremost, there are a few different components that go into doing diligence. I discuss this with a lot of different investors, and a lot of people do diligence very similarly. A lot of people do it very differently. But I will say that with Flippa, they lay it out very cleanly so that you get a chance to understand what is going on with the business, everything from a profit and loss statement to where the traffic is coming from. Now, with that said, there are a few components that you really need to hone in on. When you're looking at a listing, you need to look at the site age, you need to look at revenue as well as monthly costs, which can be found on the Flippa matrices that they lay out on the listing itself, and also the P&L when the seller is actually uploading a P&L. You need to look at where the traffic is coming from, or the traffic source. And once you have a gauge on the site age, where the traffic is coming from, profit, loss, all the expenses and everything like that, and you have a good picture of the seller notes, why they're selling and why they've written out all of the different things about the business that make it difficult, and maybe what the next owner can do to increase profitability of the business and take it to the next level. Once you've read through all that, you can go through these next steps. One of the most important parts in buying a business and transferring it from an original owner, for example, is understanding traffic. Understanding exactly where the source of the eyeballs are coming from that are coming to the business. And organic traffic is opportunity for you to maintain that business's bottom line. And this is something that changes frequently depending on how Google's feeling one day, if most of the traffic is coming from organic search on Google. But I will say that an average sweet spot for myself, as well as dozens of investors that I've discussed this with, anywhere between 30 and 60% of organic traffic coming to a business is a very good sign and a very healthy and scalable business. So you can do many things to help grow the business on the website, but as long as you have that organic traffic, you're in a good position. So there are fluctuations that can happen to your bottom line still, to clarify, but that can be changed via the product. The next and probably most important thing is revenue sources. The asset that you are acquiring from a buyer's perspective on the Flippa Marketplace, you need to make sure that it has diversified revenue sources. If it is reliant on one source of revenue, like for example, Facebook advertising, that the original owner is nailing and they're about to scale it up, but they want to just sell it and they want to pass it on to you, but not transfer an ad account, that 9 times out of 10 is not going to work out, because you're going to have to scale up, have to tune your pixel and get everything back up to where it needs to be. And you also have to be an expert in Facebook ads in that specific niche, get content, everything. So there are a lot of things that go into figuring out where the revenue is coming from. If a site is generating 30 to 60% in organic traffic, like we previously mentioned, and it's a service business or a product of some kind, that is going to be a healthy business. When you have people coming in and signing up every day organically, that is something that, as I said before, you can tweak the product, but you cannot tweak the Google algorithm. So as long as you have consistent eyeballs, you are in a safe position. As long as you are not relying on one revenue channel, you're in a safe position. And as long as you are diversified out with your different revenue channels, that is a safe position. At the end of this section, I'm going to show you guys additional revenue sources that you can use for certain businesses. You can use the alternative revenue streams if you want to, but I recommend that you are very much watching those two very closely when you're doing your diligence. Your revenue sources and your traffic sources. Those two in tandem are a magical mixture. Next up is CPMs. If you're acquiring an AdSense focused business, which just means that you want traffic to come to your website, and 1,000 people come to your website, you make $1 off of advertising, let's say. This is when you're going to want to look up where people are coming from. When I talked about the traffic sources before, this is one step deeper into the geography of the traffic. So this is simply solved from a buyer's perspective as being added to Google Analytics to view the geographic location of where traffic is coming from. This is because different countries have different ad rates, that Google AdSense and other ad networks pay for. For example, the United States CPM is drastically higher than other countries because advertisers really want to get in front of the purchasing power of people in the United States relative to somewhere that may be like a third world country where the ads are being shown. So advertisers are going to pay less if they're shown there. That's like a super high level version of what a CPM is and why the rates fluctuate. But I wanted to just throw that out there so that everybody knows. Watch where the traffic is coming from and where it's coming from in terms of channel and geography, because geography has a lot to do with the revenue that you can make. You could be making millions of unique visits from Turkey and you would be making a couple $100s a month. Whereas if it were all million visits from the United States, you'd be making a couple $1,000s a month. So it's a very big difference, and it's important to acknowledge that these are things to look for when you're doing your diligence. Next up is email lists. Emails are king in business. If you are not familiar with email marketing, you should definitely toggle off the video and watch more content about email marketing and why you should implement it into your business. When you are acquiring an asset of any kind, emails are like diamonds in the rough. You can use them for retargeting on Facebook. You can use them for audiences on Facebook marketing, all these different channels for advertising you can use to definitely monetize. So for example, if you acquire a business that has 20,000 active customers, you could use those 20,000 emails for an alternative revenue stream. This is what I mentioned before. If you're still paying attention about the alternative revenue stream for the business that you're acquiring, if you're buying a business that, let's say, is trending maybe downward, which you want to avoid in the first place, but if it is, you can actually use the email list of a customer base or user base on that asset and do something like an affiliate partnership, partner with someone else where you're actually sending an email to that user base to go to their website. If they sign up, you get a commission for conversions. That's a very high level way to monetize an audience from a existing business. Try and find something in a similar niche, very similar market. That will definitely help, but it will add on an additional revenue stream if the business needs a good boost. Next up is social media pages. I can't stress enough the importance of social proof. When a business has a large following and a large community on social media, that is going to attract more people. Plain and simple, in this day and age, you need to have an Instagram account, you need to have a Twitter account, you need to have a Facebook page, and you need to be active on them. So make sure that the people or the previous owner have been posting on them. If they haven't, make sure that they are getting good engagement. A 3% engagement rate on posts on Facebook as well as Instagram are a healthy and real audience normally. I don't want to dive too much down social media. It's a passion of mine, but I will say you need to check the social media pages, make sure that they're not just buying a bunch of followers, and you need to verify that they actually have social pages. The next one is sales proof. This one, Flippa does a lot of really great heavy lifting here where they're verifying AdSense revenue. They are allowing people to give their confirmed P&L using screenshots like PayPal and Stripe. They can confirm that the P&L is accurate. It is just important to see that there is sales proof. Make sure it's a video. Make sure they're refreshing on the video so that they're not actually photoshopping and things like that. And this is all always under the worst case scenario. I want everybody to know that because I am always coming into everything, especially business, with a kind of a skeptical perspective, just because I've had successful deals, I've had unsuccessful deals, and I try to keep my hopes low, and I know that a lot of people watching this are probably similar in that, and that's just part of doing business. But I will say that you need to approach this very conservatively when you're looking at the numbers that are being shown when it comes to sales proof. And you can even reach out to Flippa and make sure that they confirmed and whatnot, because they're there to answer questions. This is what they do. They're selling tens of thousands of websites a month, so they're very good at making sure that companies are verifying or sellers are verifying their actual numbers. So with that said, you definitely need to make sure that those are real to the best of your ability, and if not, reach out to Flippa and see what they have to say. So we've gone over site age, trying to be around the 1 year mark and seeing that they have 1 year of revenue as well as their expenses. We've gone over the traffic and the importance of seeing the source of traffic, both geographically as well as the channel, meaning like organic traffic. We've gone over the sweet spot of 30 to 60% in organic traffic that you want to look for from a buyer's perspective. Last bit here is asking the seller why they're selling. This is sort of the elephant in the room when you are a buyer. You always need to ask this question. Flippa does a great job of having that in the questionnaire for the seller to say, why are you selling this business? Majority of the time, they will say, I'm going on to another venture. I'm focusing on different projects. I have found asking the seller why they're selling to be one of the most important parts of doing diligence. And I think that you will too when you start asking these people, once you dive into their numbers, ask, why did your numbers decrease this month and increase this month? What did you do these months? Better understanding, getting a better picture as to what their business is all about and how they function, as well as asking how many hours they spend on this every day. These are all things that are listed out on the Flippa listing. There is a section on there that's awesome that is what the new owner can do. Some very creative responses from sellers I've found over the years, and I highly recommend that when you're looking through the seller's notes, you look down at the final one where it says, all right, what do you recommend the new owner does? So always, always, always read the seller notes. Make sure that it's a very clear picture as to why they're selling, and be sure to ask them why they're selling. And that's a good segue into our next section. My favorite section, and I'm sure it's going to be your favorite section, but it is on deals and negotiations. And on Flippa, that is something that I have always enjoyed doing. I know a lot of other entrepreneurs love doing it as well, where we're going to discuss the different types of deals and negotiations that you can do with sellers from a buyer's perspective, as well as the seller perspective when you're messaging back and forth with buyers. So a very exciting section. So I will see you guys on the next episode.